Hello there, ladies, gentlemen, everyone in between and beyond. Welcome to the second ever episode of the OverAchievers Podcast, East Meets West. My name is Taylor, and I'm joined by the man whose fabulous voice is only matched by his fabulous beard, John.
Wow, thank you for the intro, Taylor. That was amazing.
You're welcome. I figured I should try to really spruce things up, especially now it's the second episode. We've been through this once before, so I wanted to do a proper one this time.
That's true. We've ironed out all the kinks. This is going to be perfect, flawless, start to finish, no problems.
There are a few kinks still kicking around, but I mean, hey, some people are in defeat. It happens.
God, imagine being in defeat. Oh, sorry, I don't want to derail this instantly. So can we talk about feet fetishes, Taylor? No.
I'm leaving this in.
Yeah, good. This is gold.
We'll start another podcast to talk about fetishes, but for now, I want to talk about video games.
I don't want to do this. Okay, let's talk about video games.
Sounds good. So, John, what game are you going to be presenting on today's episode?
Today, I'm going to be talking about a game that I got all achievements for very recently, instead of 3 years ago or whatever. I'm going to be talking about Ghostwire Tokyo.
Okay, that has been in development for a long time.
Has it? I remember seeing it at an E3 when I would watch E3s. So like 3 years ago, probably?
Back when E3 was still a thing, for the most part.
Oh yeah, that's true. It's gone now, isn't it?
Yeah. So, relic of a bygone era.
That's true. But I remember like people were very excited because the presenter, somebody Nakamura or something, she was like super enthusiastic and passionate, and she did like a cute little dance or whatever, and people were very excited about the game.
And then it disappeared for like 2 years, even outside of E3, and everyone was just like, is this still happening? And then they just kind of dropped it on us, and we're like, oh, all right.
Yeah. I think it actually came out on like PlayStation last year or something.
Wait, what?
I think I looked it up and it said like the release was like 2021. I was like, that's not right. Steam says it's 2022. So maybe it did, and I just did not hear anything about it.
I don't remember hearing anything about it before this year either. What?
Yeah, like it came out it was like March or something, and then like I didn't hear about it until like a month after I saw like a Digital Foundry video. I was like, this looks awesome. I'm gonna try this.
Huh? I had no idea it released then.
Yeah, no, it's surprising. Like it's published by Bethesda. Like you would have thought there'd be, I don't know, a little bit more.
A lot of hype and marketing around it, yeah.
A little bit, yeah, but yeah, it totally just kind of like shadow dropped for me. It was weird.
All right, well, with now that we know it's out, do you want to tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, so it's an FPS game developed by Tango Gameworks and published by Bethesda, like I mentioned. It's set in the Shibuya district of Tokyo, and it features heavy emphasis on parkour-based movement, which is like fairly similar to Dying Light, actually, because obviously it's first person, and you do a lot of scrambling up buildings. Like your character jumps much higher than you'd expect a normal person to be able to.
Can you dropkick somebody in this game?
No, you can't dropkick, I'm afraid.
0 out of 10, worst game ever.
0 out of 10. It would be interesting with co-op now that you mention it. It would be fun.
That would be awesome. Just like doing the Naruto hand symbol things. I have not played this, so I'm only going off a little bit of gameplay footage that I've seen.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate.
Imagine doing those and just casting all these spells, and then I just come in and dropkick somebody because I'm too lazy to move my hands.
And dropkick, yeah, that'd be sweet. But it's open world in the Shibuya district of Tokyo. The map starts very closed off, like you'd expect. It's shrouded in a deadly fog, but the player can clear the fog away from areas of the city by cleansing torii gates throughout the city, and you just kind of slowly open up the map as you go. And a very brief synopsis of the story, very, very brief. The main character gets possessed by the ghost of a dead man, and the game starts with the population of Tokyo having vanished. The pair has to learn who's behind it, and they encounter various terrifying enemies straight out of Japanese horror folklore.
Yeah, I've seen that in some of the trailers. A lot of the monsters or yokai seemed, I don't want to say popular, but they were more recognizable in modern culture, I guess, than I would have first imagined. I don't know if that's because I'm a weeb, and this is like a weeb's wet dream, but...
Yeah, it definitely spoke to me as a weeb, like, even though I'd like...
are you still a weeb, though?
I don't know, like, I've gone very off anime, but I still really like Japan, I guess, like...
Yeah, and you've been to Japan, which is more than I can say.
And I've been to Japan, yeah. So, like, yeah, I don't know, I really like the setting of this, just being in Tokyo, because obviously that is the part of Japan I've been to. I didn't go to Shibuya, but like I could see in the game you can climb up pretty high, and I could see a couple of landmarks that like I saw from my part of Tokyo, so that was pretty cool.
Oh, that's awesome.
The yeah, like the demons, the yokai and stuff. They're yeah, I don't know. I thought it was very interesting. I'd be interested to hear if like somebody who's not as into Japanese culture as we are would find it as cool as I do.
Yeah, I definitely think that's part of it. Like, you have to know about or enjoy learning about Japanese culture because this game is just so heavily based on it, which, I mean, makes sense. So yeah, I could definitely see that taking away from someone's enjoyment of the game.
Yeah. So yeah, it'd be interesting, but I loved it.
Fair enough. All right, so how many achievements are in this game?
So this game has 56 achievements, which is a little bit of a step up from my, was it like 15 at the first episode? Yeah, 56 achievements in this one.
All right. So we know it was your first time playing because you talked about that already. You presumably have not returned to it because you didn't exactly leave it all that long ago.
No, I will say it's one of the few games that I decided partway through my casual first playthrough to try and get all achievements for. Like a lot of games I play for the first time, I sort of try and ignore achievements because I don't want it like taking away from the first time feel of the game sort of thing. But as I was probably about halfway through, I was like, you know what? I'm really enjoying this game. I think I can probably do all achievements. So I like looked them up, and that they all seemed pretty doable. So I just kind of started going towards them as I was like partway through.
All right, fair enough. And how long did the journey kind of take you overall?
So overall, my Steam playtime is 32 and a half hours, and the How Long to Beat website, which I think we're probably going to use a fair amount for this podcast.
Yeah, I think so.
It says the average for completionist is 36 hours, so I was like ever so slightly below.
Oh, you speedy boy.
Yeah, but I also play games on the easiest difficulty, so I don't know if that has anything to do with it. Like I never have to retry things.
I mean, hey man, whatever floats your boat, you know?
Absolutely, I don't know. I don't like retrying things in games, so I like being very strong.
Oh, you must hate arcade machines.
I don't know if I must have used an arcade machine at some point.
You better have used an arcade machine.
Maybe.
It hurts if you've never used one, man. You're a gamer.
I am, yeah. I mean, they're all like arcade machines are just a scam, though. Man, I'm just.
Well, okay, we are gonna drift in some dangerous territory. Moving on.
Are they not though?
What were the hardest and easiest achievements that you found?
Fine. Okay, so easiest achievement is called Heartbreaker. Defeat a visitor, which is the spooky creatures and stuff. You'll hopefully see them if you're watching the YouTube version of this. Plug. Defeat a visitor by pulling out its core, which...
Oh, that just sounds violent.
It is pretty violent. Basically, to defeat the visitors, you use your ninjutsu or whatever to throw elements at them, and once they've taken enough damage from that, you can, or it exposes their core, which you then pull out with more ninjutsu kind of stuff, and that destroys them. But you basically, I think within like the first 2 minutes, you get taught how to do this as part of the tutorial. So this is an unavoidable achievement, and you get it very, very quickly and easily.
So you're just told, hey, go rip this thing's heart out.
Yeah, and it's like one of those tutorials where like the game like pauses until like you like press the right button for it. So it's like, you know, like press left click to do your attack, and like you can't press anything else until you do it, and then it'll be like hold right click to pull out its core. So yeah, super, super easy achievement to get.
Fair enough. And what about your hardest one?
The hardest one for me was called Walking on Air, which is where you have to grapple and glide to remain in the air for at least 10 seconds. And to do this, you Tengu, which are like flying yokai demon things, they'll be up in the skies, like at the edges of buildings throughout Shibuya, and you can grapple up to them. And then at some point in the game, you can unlock a glide skill, which is when you're falling, you can press space or whatever the console equivalent is, and you'll glide for. You have to upgrade the skill, so you can start by gliding for 3 seconds, and then you can get up to 5. Or sorry, you start gliding for 2 seconds, then 3, and then 5. So basically, like the maximum you can glide for is 5 seconds. So you basically have to like grapple up, do a bit of gliding, find something else to grapple onto, and then glide some more. So it's like, it doesn't sound that difficult, but it takes a little bit of kind of planning and making sure you're in like the right area of the city to be able to start high enough up and also be able to like fall for your 5 seconds and then find something else to latch onto.
It just sounds tedious to position.
It actually wasn't that bad. Like, I thought this was going to be one where I'd have to like look up, where is the place to go for this achievement. But like, I looked up all the achievements and I was like, okay, this looks like something I could maybe do throughout the game. And I managed to get it just by just finding a high place. And like, I wasn't even trying to do it specifically. I just was kind of doing it every time I had to grapple up somewhere. I'd try and like fall for 10 seconds and it just worked. So it wasn't that bad.
I mean, it is a Bethesda game. It does just work.
It does just work. No, it's just published by them though.
Oh, that's true. Fair enough. Which
means it really works. Doesn't Todd Howard work? It actually works.
Oh, that's our new slogan. It doesn't Todd Howard work. It actually works.
Yeah, honestly.
Okay, so outside of those, what did you find was the most fun and what was the kind of the most boring?
Okay, most fun is called Sniper, which is where you defeat a visitor with a headshot from a distance of at least 40 meters. One of your weapons that you get in the game is a bow and arrow, which is very fun to use, actually. And if you headshot a visitor, it almost always one-shots them. There's a couple of like stronger ones that won't be, but for the most part, you can one-shot them. And so for this one, you have to kill them with a headshot from at least 40 meters. And it was quite fun, like trying to find, a really long road where there was only one visitor that I could try and get close enough to. And so like I found a long road, I like crept up behind them, put a little map marker where I was, and then just like slowly backed away from the visitor until the map marker said 40 meters.
Oh, okay. I was thinking, how are you going to judge 40 meters in a video game?
Right? That's what I was thinking too, but I was like, yeah, no, you can just use the map markers. Because it's got a mini-map, which is quite helpful, so you can very clearly tell. So I backed up 40 meters, and I'd like put a little save there, and then I would just try over and over. Because 40 meters is like a lot longer than you would expect. Before I figured out that I could do the map marker trick, I was like just trying to get as far away as I thought I could get and headshot people. And then when I realized I could do the map marker thing, I realized all the previous attempts, I'd probably only been at about 20 meters. So yeah, 40 meters was very, very far away. Like, it was so far away, every time I loaded my save, I had to walk forward a bit to get the enemy to spawn back in, because it was outside of the render distance.
Oh, wow. So, wait, what affects render distance then? Like, if someone had, say, a less powerful PC, would that be a problem to render the enemy at 40 meters?
No, once it's loaded in, it'll stay there. It was just every time I would reload the save, because it would reload the city, I'd have to walk forward just to get them to appear. But they always spawned in at least. Yeah, so that was a fun one. I just thought it was quite a memorable one to me. Just, trying to find the long road and stuff like that. And the least fun achievement was called Hero of Shibuya, which is where you have to complete the main story after transferring 100% of the spirits in the city.
Okay, so yeah, I was looking at this list and I was like, wait, what does this mean? Because I didn't look up what the stuff was. Most of it's self-explanatory, but what does transferring spirits mean?
Yeah, so basically the reason that the city is empty is because they've all been trapped as spirits, basically. And so your goal as the character is to collect the spirits in a little paper doll thing and transfer them out of the possessed Shibuya, basically, to the real outside world. So that's transferring spirits. Basically, to transfer spirits, you'll see glowing kind of white bodies, kind of, not really bodies, they're spirits. They're like the spirits of people, just kind of floating around the city. And you have to find those, and you suck them up into your paper thing. And every time you do that, you get about 100 spirits, I'd say. And the total amount of spirits in the game is 240,000.
Oh my god.
Yes. So, and they're...
So you would have to do it 240 times.
Basically, yes. That
sounds awful.
It's normally I think I would hate that, but I didn't really mind it too much in this one. Because at least it felt like there was a story reason for it. These poor souls are trapped in demonic Tokyo, basically, and as a good Samaritan, I'm going around and freeing them and helping them to the other side and stuff like that. There's side quests and there's collectibles and stuff, so you do spend a lot of time running all over the city. So like as soon as you see, the blue spirits, you just go and grab them and get them out of there. So it wasn't too bad, but the thing I didn't like about it most was that you had to go and complete this main story after you'd transferred every spirit. And it just meant basically you do have to complete the story twice, sort of. I'll get into that a little bit later. It was just a little bit annoying that there was an achievement for, I think this achievement should have just been transfer 100% of the spirits, which there is an achievement for that, but I don't know why they wanted you to go and complete the story after doing all the spirits, so you don't get like an alternate ending or anything like that.
Yeah, I can see that being rather frustrating.
Yeah, so that one was just, it's mostly having to do the story, having to do the end of the story again afterwards that made it the least fun for me.
So, okay, I gotta ask, and this isn't on the script, how did you find the collectathon? Because, like, I was looking at these achievements, and a lot of them are, transfer a certain percentage of spirits, collect all of the knickknacks, doodads, pray to all the Jizo statues. Like, how did you find that? Because normally I find collectible or, I guess tasks, as they're sometimes called, to separate them from side missions, like just kind of checklist achievements. I can find those to be really annoying sometimes.
Yeah, I agree. Like normally those are the kind of, like if a game has those achievements, I'm probably not going to do them because it is annoying. Like it doesn't really add too much to the game. But I think for this one, it's because I loved the setting so much, like this kind of spooky Tokyo. I didn't really mind, going over areas I'd seen before and trying to find like, where's the statue on this corner and stuff. But because like you have to do all the side quests for one of the achievements, which again, were quite fun to do. I liked the side quests. You do revisit areas that you've been to before, and some of the side quests will point you to different parts that you didn't go to in the main quest. So it wasn't too bad. Like by the time I had to look up some of the stuff towards the end, I'd got probably about 75% of all the collectibles and tasks and stuff just on my own without having to look them up. But yeah, you're right. Like normally that's not the kind of thing I would do. I think like another reason I didn't mind doing it was it was pretty stress free, honestly, to find all the collectibles and stuff, and that's kind of what I was looking for in the evening after coming in from work. Like I didn't mind just popping it on and flying around Tokyo and looking for things. It was pretty chill.
Sounds pretty chill.
Yeah.
What is the rarest achievement on the list, and do you think it deserves to be the rarest?
So there's two that are tied for the rarest, or at least they were 2 days ago when I made my notes. I guess that's something we didn't really talk about, is like, because this game's so new, like the achievement stats will probably like fluctuate in the next year or so. So, maybe in a year, these will not be the rarest achievements anymore. Who knows?
Chill out there, mate. This is coming out in July of 2022. We'll focus on that. I don't want to start talking about a year from now just yet.
Yeah, but it's just interesting because like last episode, Curse of the Moon, probably less people playing that game at this point than are playing Ghostwire Tokyo, so like those achievement stats aren't going to change much, but this one might. So I just think that's quite interesting.
Unless this episode comes out and just like sparks a crap ton of interest in Curse of the Moon.
Maybe.
Let's make it popular, folks. Let's do it.
Okay, so the two rarest achievements are Power Overwhelming and The Whole Truth, with 2.7% of players having got them. So very, very low. Power Overwhelming is to acquire all sets of prayer beads, which are these equipable things you can equip up to 3 prayer beads, and they give you different bonuses like extra wind damage, extra water damage, extra arrow damage, stuff like that. And then The Whole Truth is to acquire all voice logs. And the reason that I think these two are so rare is because after a certain point in the game, you get railroaded into the end of the game, I guess. It tells you, once you, start this mission, you can't go back to the open world part and stuff like that. And 2 of the prayer beads are locked behind completing the game after transferring all the spirits. So I guess there is a reason to transfer all the spirits, but it's still annoying. And one or 2 of the voice logs are hidden in the end game area, the railroaded end game area, and they're quite missable. Like I think there were like 4 or so collectibles in the end game area, and I missed them the first time I did the end game. I think like if people don't want to go back and play the ending segment again, then they are going to miss the voice logs that are in there, and they're definitely not going to get the the 2 prayer beads you get right at the end.
I mean, fair enough. Sorry, what was the most memorable achievement for you?
For me, I said it was Salvation of All, which is just the regular achievement for transferring 100% of the spirits in the city. Mostly for the reasons I talked about before, because it was fun going all around Tokyo and trying to find them and going over places I'd been before and seeing, oh, there's a little hidden spirit here. And once you beat the ending for the first time, you get a prayer bead, which you can equip, which basically points you to any spirits you haven't found within like 100 meters. So it's pretty, like, it's very easy to, it's not easy, but it's very manageable to get all the spirits once you have this prayer bead. Like I said, I found it fairly memorable because it seemed there was a thematic reason for doing it. Like, the spirits were all trapped and I wanted to go set them all free and help them move on and stuff like that.
That makes sense, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there an achievement you would remove from the game? I'm assuming I know what it is.
There flippin' is, Taylor.
Let's flip and hear it.
I don't know if it's going to be the one you think it is.
Oh, all right.
The one I would remove from the game is called Don't Worry About It, where you have to pull a Daikyu Omikuji.
I wanted to ask what this was.
At 2 of the shrines, 2 of the Torii gates, waypoints, whatever, in the city are these Omikujis, which are, I guess, fortune-telling boxes, for lack of a better explanation. It's this container that the character shakes and pulls out a stick, which gives a fortune. And there's quite a lot of fortunes in the game, and each one gives you a different effect. Like, you can unlock, you'll unroll one, it'll be like, oh, you've got 10% extra damage for 2 minutes or however long they last, that kind of thing.
Okay, I remember what these are in real life. Okay.
Am I close with my explanation?
Yeah, so as far as I understand it, in real life, it's different grades of luck for the year. So, like, they would go to a shrine, pray to it, and then you'd kind of pull your stick or what have you, and then it would tell you, like, hey, you've got golden luck or silver luck or bronze or terrible luck. So I'm guessing they kind of translated that into different qualities of buffs.
All the names for them were in Japanese, so like this one's called like Daikyo, and I don't remember what the other ones were called. So yeah, they probably did mean like various degrees of luck.
Okay, so what does pulling a Daikyu mean?
So Daikyo, I guess, probably means something like unlucky, but it is the unluckiest Omikuji, and it sets your health to 1. And that's all it does.
Oh, and how long does that last for?
Until you heal it. Like, it's not a big deal at all, because like these shrines, these Torii Gate areas are safe zones. Like, they're not a problem.
Okay. So you can just like get it and then just heal it off. So you basically are just you're gacha pulling for the worst draw to get an achievement.
Yes, and it has a very, very low drop rate. I don't know the exact percent, but I did see somebody on Reddit say it was like 1% chance.
You sounds like just a pain.
It was a pain. Like, I really hate random chance kind of things like that in games anyway. But to have an achievement tied to it, really, really annoying. And this was one of the last ones I did. Like, throughout the game, every time I would go back to a shrine that had an Omikuji, I would make sure I pulled one. And I never got it naturally throughout the game. And eventually I did just have to put a save in front of it.
Kind of sit there and keep pulling.
Yeah, just over and over and over. It sucked.
Okay, so I have looked up the translation, and it does mean terrible luck or atrocity.
Oh, interesting. Okay, that would explain it.
So yeah, you were pulling for either good luck or bad luck.
Yeah, there was a lot of good luck ones. I think when I was doing this, I only got one other bad luck one apart from this through all the times I did it. So yeah, just infuriatingly rare to get, and it was just very, very annoying.
Are you saying you had bad luck with it?
I mean, I don't know. I guess if it has a 1% chance, I just had normal luck with it.
Is there a way of playing that you think, or like an action that should have had an achievement?
No, not that I could think of.
Are you able to soft lock yourself out of any of these?
Sort of. Like I said, once you get to a certain point of the game, you do get locked into the end of the game, basically. And like I said, there are a couple of collectibles in one of the later areas in Chapter 5, basically, that you if you progress past Chapter 5, the only way to get back into Chapter 5 is by going back to start the end of the game again. So, like, sort of, you can soft lock yourself out of those until you go and do the end of the game again. It's not the end of the world is not as bad as some games I'm sure we can talk about at some point.
Yeah, so is this one of those games where you kind of beat the story and then it kind of throws you back to just right before the last mission?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. So it's just you kind of do it and then you can always just go right back into it if you missed it.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Fair enough.
And it does carry a couple of things over. So like the first time you beat it, like I said, you get that prayer bead that lets you track down spirits more easily and stuff. So you do keep your progress that you got from doing the end of the game. You don't lose everything, because I know there's some games where like you beat the final boss and it's like, oh, just reload your save from just before the final boss, and it's like,
and if you don't have one,
or it's like when you do reload it, it's like you didn't even fight the final boss. I dislike that quite a bit.
So based on how you've been talking, you only need to beat the game or play through the game once.
Yes. Yeah. I'm not 100% sure on if it's possible to beat the game without redoing the ending. I think it is actually. So yeah, if you know what you're doing the whole way through, I think it is possible to beat the game or to get all the achievements in just one playthrough, only doing the ending once. But if you only do the ending once, you miss out on the prayer bead that lets you track down spirits more easily. So it would be a real...
So you're basically playing in hard.
Yeah, pretty much. So yeah, like once in theory, 1.5 times in practice, I'd say.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Did you use any guides? Like, is there anything you'd recommend people out there try to use if they're going to do this?
Yeah, there were some really good maps on PowerPix, his website. PowerPyX. I know we used one of their YouTube videos for...
I've definitely used them before.
For Elden Ring, yeah, we've used them a bit. I didn't realize they had a website until I was looking up.
Oh, really?
Stuff for this game, yeah.
Oh, I've used them for a few games. So that will be linked in the description down below of the YouTube video and will hopefully be in the show notes of the podcast.
Yeah, very, very helpful maps on there. Because, yeah, they like pointed out, like, oh, here's all the Jesus statues and stuff. And, like, the in-game map has a filter, so you can turn it on to just the statues and stuff. So they definitely had really nice maps on the website.
Oh, that sounds super helpful.
Yeah, very helpful.
All right. I guess I can't really ask if this has changed the way you look at the game. So I'll cut that part out. Do you regret doing this?
No, I wouldn't say so. Like I said, it was quite enjoyable to do the normally tedious parts as just a bit of like a wind down after work. And I think it helped me appreciate the level design, the map design. Like how they were able to tuck some of the hidden spirits and hidden tanukis away throughout the map. And like some of the tanukis were hidden, like in hindsight, very clear and obvious places, but you just kind of miss them because they look like a part of the Shibuya, cityscape and stuff. So no regrets.
Fair enough. In relation to the tanukis, are they showing their goods? As tanukis traditionally are known to have rather large bits, and they are often exposed. This is not just a weird question out of nowhere.
You might have to be a bit more specific about their bits. I don't think so. I'm going to say no.
Are there fortune cookies hanging out?
Still not 100% sure what you're talking about, but no.
Testicles, Jonathan.
No. No, they're very wholesome tanuki.
Did you not know this about tanukis?
No.
They're known for having massive balls.
I did not know this, and this was not made clear to me from playing Ghostwire Tokyo.
So I am going to leave this in for educational purposes, but tanukis have generally been depicted with rather large testicles.
Interesting. No, not in this game.
Probably a good thing.
Yeah, I think so.
So, barring the tanukis, would you recommend other people go for the AA? And, what kind of players would enjoy this? I'm assuming the kinds of players who hate collectathons would not have a good time.
Yeah, exactly. If you hate having to explore every nook and cranny of a map, then I don't think you'll enjoy going for the all achievements on this. If you're like me and just wanted something fairly relaxing to do after work, the end of the game where you're just kind of hunting down things is on it. Like I said, I found it quite relaxing. I think if you're looking for that, you might enjoy it. But yeah, if you hate getting every collectible, and there's several different types of collectibles, I think there's 240 relics or something to find.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that one took quite a while. But again, I found most of those naturally. I only had to look up the last 20% of them or something. But yeah, if you don't like that kind of thing, you probably won't like getting all achievements in this.
That makes sense.
And I will say, I think going for all achievements does add a fair bit of playtime. I think if you just do the main story, you're probably done in like 10 hours or something.
Oh, yikes.
So yeah, like the actual main story is quite short. There are something like 30 something side quests. So once you do all those, you're adding quite a bit of playtime. But yeah, like if you skip a lot of the collectibles, you'll lose, or you won't have another, I don't know, 10 plus hours of playtime, I'd guess.
Wow, that's definitely significant.
It is significant, yeah. But like I didn't do all 10 hours of that in one go. Like I tried to explore the map as best as I could as I was playing the game.
Yeah, that makes sense. Space out the content. Well, space out the story content.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I did that quite a bit. I would like put off the missions a lot.
All right, well, that will be it for John's game and our East portion of today's episode. With that, I want to get to the question of the episode, which will now be found in the middle right before our break. John, is there a specific type of achievement that you don't like and wish was not in games? Okay, so to clarify for the audience, what I'm talking about for mine is multiplayer specific achievements in a primarily single player game. Take Red Faction Guerrilla or Doom 2016, both primarily single player games with a multiplayer component, I'll give you. However, locking achievements behind, say, playing multiplayer matches, especially winning multiplayer matches, to me is just such a pain, because if you don't do it, kind of when there's still an active community for it, you may not be able to get the chance. If they shut those servers down, those achievements are locked forever. If you just don't want to play against other human beings, that's locked for, in theory, and forever for you. And it's just, I don't know why they decide, hey, yes, we've got multiplayer. Let's lock achievements behind that. Just let people enjoy the multiplayer separate from those who want all achievements.
Well, you took my exact answer. I said anything with online multiplayer elements, basically. Like you said, if you don't get on those achievements within the first year or so of a game's life, like if you come back to it in 5 years or something, they might literally be impossible to get. I guess like Dark Souls right now, well, Dark Souls at the time of recording, all the servers were still down on PC. So that makes getting some of those achievements very, very difficult.
I will say, kind of counterpoint for Dark Souls, you can still get them, but yes, they are extremely tedious. There are certain games, though, where it is literally impossible to get them because the servers are down.
Yeah, definitely. I was playing Persona 4 Arena Ultimax today, which is
What is that?
It's a Persona fighting game, obviously.
It sounds like a mobile port.
No, it was an arcade game and then a PS3 game, and now it's on PC. But it's...
Did you say arcade?
Yeah, it started on arcade, actually. But it's like Street Fighter, but it's Persona, basically. And that has online components. And like I was having a little glance through the achievements. Probably not going to go for them all in this one. But like two of the achievements were, one of them was play 10 online games, which, is not bad because it doesn't say win. It's just play them. And then...
Yeah, you just need to participate.
Yeah, exactly. And then one of the other achievements was win one online game. So I was like, you know what?
Oh,
I'll give it a go. I'll try and do this one. And I got that one. Okay, it only took 2 matches. I won my second match, just gonna say.
Oh, Mr. Big Shot over here.
But like honestly, if it was even like win 2 online matches, I wouldn't have gone for it.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Yeah. And like, I mean, this game's only been out for a month or 2, and like I was checking Steam and it's already only got 140 people playing.
Oh, yikes.
Right? So like it's got like a ton of single player stuff. That's all I'm playing it for, but it does have online components. But yeah, like if you wanted to do it in 2 years or something, you might not be able to do those achievements. So yeah, I really, really dislike that.
Huh. Yeah, that sounds like an absolute pain.
Yeah. So yeah, anything online multiplayer should not be achievements. I think devs do have the option of removing achievements. So I think some games that have gone completely offline have removed those online multiplayer achievements, but you can't rely on every single game that loses its servers doing that.
No, absolutely not. I like that they're able to do it. I don't like that they've put it in the first place. Again, I don't have a problem with multiplayer when it doesn't kind of creep in on the single player experience. If your game is just multiplayer, that's totally fine. I'll just go play a single player game When you start putting multiplayer achievements in my single player games, that's when I get mad.
Yeah, I mean, it's not usually a problem, like, unless you really wanted to get all achievements. Like I said, like, for the most part, if I see those kind of achievements, I'm just going to ignore them. Like this one, like Persona, play 10 matches. I've played 2. I know I'm not going to play online ever again. So, like, I'm not worried about it, honestly.
No, and that's fair. And it has stopped me from getting all achievements in games that I kind of wanted to, but then I looked and saw the multiplayer achievement. I just said, no, not doing that.
Yeah. It would suck to, like, get invested in a game and be, like, on your way to doing it and then find out there's multiplayer achievements. I'd be pretty sad about that.
Yeah, I'll always look up achievements beforehand just on the off chance.
Just in case. Yeah, that's a good idea.
So, anyway, please leave down in the comments below what kind of achievements you don't like. I would love to have a discussion with people who love multiplayer achievements and people who hate or love collectathon achievements, because I'm really hit or miss on those.
Yeah, agreed.
Anyway, we are going to cut to commercial, take a break, and then when we come back, you'll get the West portion of today's episode. And we're back, everybody. Thank you so much for sticking with us through the break. To now, we're going to talk about the West portion of the game, and I'm going to hand it over to our resident Brit, John.
Yay, the true West, or something.
Oh my, that's quite the statement.
I don't know why I said that one, Taylor. Jesus.
Mr. East representing West over here.
God, it is east of Canada as well. It's weird. Anyway, Taylor, Mr. West, as they call you.
Indeed.
What game? Taylor West. That's a cool name. What what game are you going to talk about today?
So I want to talk about Mafia 3, which is a third-person action shooter released in 2016, published by 2K and developed by Hangar 13, a studio actually, as far as I'm aware, developed specifically for this game.
Just for Mafia 3?
I think so, yes.
Ah.
I will put in the YouTube video whether or not that's true. I could be lying to you right now.
Okay, cool. I like that. I like that risk.
I'm a risk taker, didn't you know?
I do.
So Mafia 3 is the story of Lincoln Clay, a Vietnam veteran returning from active duty in the year of 1968 to the fictional city of New Bordeaux, meant to replace or kind of as a stand-in for New Orleans. So it's very much... what's the word I'm looking for? It's very much Creole culture. It's very much playing into the ideas of what New Orleans once was, especially in the late 60s. So you come home to your adoptive dad and your brother to find they are being attacked by a gang of Haitians. This is where you discover that your family themselves work for a mob boss named Sal Marcano. So through a series of events, you end up working for Marcano to rob the Federal Reserve. And keep in mind, and again, in 1968, this would have been a massive deal. But then, because you said you don't want to take over your father's position leading kind of your portion of the city, Marcano just comes and murders everybody. He burns down the bar that your dad owned. He shoots your father. He shoots your brother. He shoots you in the head. And thankfully, you survive after coming out of a coma. And then you embark on this path of revenge. So the whole idea is you go through the game, take over the city bit by bit, destroying his rackets, and giving them to reliable lieutenants that you recruit throughout the game. And at the end, after you've taken away everything this man has, you finally get your revenge.
Man, I actually really liked Mafia 3.
Mafia 3 was great.
It's a very divisive game, actually.
Really?
Yeah, it's because it's so different, because it's so much more open than 1 and 2. People did not like it.
I can understand that, having played Mafia 2 before this, that's in terms of how different it is, but I think the structure works for what it's going for. I think it's got really dialed in mechanics and a few other niceties and like bonus points that I'll be talking about later in the episode.
Okay. I think like one of the main criticisms that people had for it was the very repetitive nature of the missions, which maybe you'll talk about later. I'm not sure.
A little bit.
Okay. But I really enjoyed it. I did quite a bit in it.
And one thing I do want to point out before moving forward, Lincoln Clay is a black man in a very racially charged time. The developers did not shy away from the fact that it was a racially charged time. There are multiple profanities and slang words which are very offensive to a great number of people used in this game. I will not be repeating those profanities for very obvious reasons, but if you do play this game, understand that those words are in there. They are used rather frequently, rather abusively, and the developers have said, we tried to make this historically accurate. We do not stand by this, which I think is fair. There are terrible things said in that game, terrible things done to you, and terrible things that you do in that game. Just please be aware if that sort of thing offends you in any way, do not play this game. They do not pull punches.
And they do give you like that exact warning, basically, like as soon as you start it up, like as soon as the single player starts, it gives you like this big warning.
So there will be things that we talk about, just in relation to what Link and Clay and technically you as the player experience. But that is because it is trying to accurately represent what some people of certain colors, races, origins, however you decide to define it, experienced during those times in history in the United States as well as other countries.
Yeah. Hopefully you're fairly selective with the video footage in this one.
Yeah, the video footage will just be regular gameplay. I won't be showing cutscenes or more scripted moments because those are the ones where it gets very questionable and at times hard to watch depending on your level of sensitivity.
Yeah. Good warning, I think. Okay, so how many achievements does Mafia 3 have?
So I am going to be splitting this into technically 2 sections for each question. There is the base game of Mafia 3, which has 55 achievements, and then there are 3 small DLCs that have 10 achievements each. So I've kind of laid out the answer for the base game and the DLCs in turn for each of these questions.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so it was, like 85 altogether?
85 in total, yeah.
Okay, interesting. Okay, cool. So was this your first time playing the game?
This was not. So I originally played it back in 2016 when it first came out, and then I decided in 2022 to go back to it because I was like, hey, I have the definitive edition, but I've never touched these DLCs. And that was actually the main reason for me going back to it. And then I decided, let's get all achievements. I've got, I think it was, I want to say more than half for the base game, obviously not for the DLCs. And I was like, you know what? These DLCs are relatively short. Let's try to knock all these out.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. They must be very short because we were talking about it, and I can literally only remember what one of the DLCs were. Okay, but they still each have 10 achievements. Okay,
they do each have 10 achievements primarily for gameplay. There are a few that are tied to doing the story missions of those DLCs, but then again, the mechanics that it adds to the game have their own sets of achievements.
Okay, have you gone back to the game since you got all achievements?
I have not, because it was technically by the time I finished it was my 3rd time beating the game. So it
oh my goodness.
It took me a long time. I will be talking about that very shortly.
Okay.
So I am satisfied with what I have done with the game. I do not plan to pick it up for a while.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, so how long did it take you?
So Steam tells me it took 85 hours.
Oh my goodness.
Whereas How Long to Beat says completionist style should take about 50, which I do agree with, because before starting this journey, I had about 43 hours on record. So it took me roughly 42 hours, and I realized at the end of it, I could have shaved off probably another, I'm going to say 5 to 10 in total.
Oh boy.
Because I did too many things that I didn't have to do in one of my playthroughs. It was not necessary for me to do this to get certain achievements, but I didn't realize that until it was all over.
Okay, so what was the hardest achievement for you to get?
So the hardest for the base game, at least, is called Recruited to the 5th SFG. So for context, Lincoln was part of a special forces unit in Vietnam. And he does mention this a few times, known as the 5th Special Forces Group, 5th FSG. This achievement entails getting 5 headshots in 5 seconds. Now, it's a third-person shooter. It's not too hard to aim with a mouse and go click, 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 click. The problem is getting 5 enemies grouped up close enough to get it in 5 seconds. So you can get 5 headshots, but can you get them in the 5 seconds? As in, are people close enough that you can go bang, 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 bang in the allotted time? Is the biggest pain in the ass because they will group up in 3s, in 4s. But if you want 5, you got to pull one group into another.
Oh man.
And then go, it's mow them down. So it's more getting people in position for this one that makes it so hard.
Okay, that sounds very annoying.
And then for the DLC, it would be Spotter. So this one is kill 30 enemies with sniper support. The problem with this one is sniper support comes in the form of a little radio consumable that you can buy from the vendor. And then you mark just a circular area, and the sniper will take out anyone in that circle. So it could be 3 guys, 5 guys, whatever. You have to get 30 kills total. And you can only carry 3 of these radios at a time, and each radio costs $3,500, which For context, most of the guns in like the mid game cost about 20,000.
Oh my god.
So when you're spending over 10,000 to get 3 radios, it just gets really expensive. And that's the biggest drawback, and like the thing that makes this achievement so hard is you have to have the money to physically support your habit.
Boy. And so do you have to rely on the AI to get the kills?
Yeah, so basically if they're in the circle when you activate your radio, even if the NPC, like the enemies, run out of the circle, the sniper will still shoot them. Like they'll still go down. So as long as they're in the circle when it activates, the AI will still eliminate the enemies for you.
Does it like ever miss? Like, is it good?
No, it never misses. It's
okay.
Great. Like it's super useful to have. It's just getting 30 kills with it is so expensive because like you can maybe get 4 guys in a single circle. So even then you're doing, if you were able to get 4 every time, which you're definitely not unless you like start at the beginning of the game to try to do this.
Yeah.
You'd have to do it at least
7 to 8 times, yeah.
Yeah, you'd have to do it 8 times. So 3,500 times 8 is it's over $30,000. And again, that's lining up very specifically getting the enemies in that circle.
Jeez.
So like half the time you're doing 2 or 3 guys. So that's between, 10 to 15 times in and of itself. So the cost really piles up and is the main barrier to entry for this one.
Interesting. Like when you said it, like my assumption was like, oh, you have to rely on an AI to get kills. It's probably terrible. I didn't think it would be the money, but yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, no, and even like, again, if an enemy's running away out of the circle, the sniper still just tracks them and shoots them.
Damn, that's pretty cool.
It'll shoot them into like a specific order. It's like you'll see one guy go down, then the next, then the next. But yeah, no matter where they go, they still go down. So it's super useful, super reliable, just very expensive.
Interesting. Okay, so those were the hardest achievements. What about the easiest achievements?
Base game for the easiest is next time swim faster. And funny enough, okay, I'm going to preface this by saying I never got this in my first playthrough, and I did 43 hours. It's getting eaten by an alligator. So, it's New Orleans, quote unquote. It's the bayou. You've got gators and everything in the swamps. All you have to do is get attacked by a gator a few times and you die. I was just never in the water long enough to be attacked by a gator, or I drove over them with a boat.
What was it called, sorry?
You literally have to like stay in the water and get attacked a few times.
Yeah, I don't think I ever got that, honestly.
It's one of those things, like you can get it at the beginning of the game.
Yeah.
But if you're not going for it, you just don't think about it.
That's so funny. Yeah, especially if you're like, you don't swim a lot, right?
No, you do a bit of swim for certain missions, but no, you don't. You definitely don't swim a lot.
You're mostly like boating. Yeah. That's funny.
So I never got that after 43 hours.
I love that. Just like the most basic like achievement. And it's so easy to miss.
Yeah, no, it's so good.
And for the DLC?
Okay, so I specifically chose the Covered in Blood DLC for this one because it gives you throwing knives. And as we all know, because, the pro gamers that we are, stealth weapons in non-stealth games are automatically overpowered because they were not typically meant to be in the game. Mafia 3 is like, you can do stealth takedowns, you can have a silenced pistol, but it wasn't necessarily designed to be totally around stealth. So when they added in throwing knives for the Blade of Death achievement, kill 20 enemies with a throwing knife, they did not balance this thing whatsoever. Because you can have 3 at a time. You can hit an enemy from any distance. It's super accurate. Like you can hit them anywhere. You could hit them in the foot, in the knee, in the hand. They just die instantly. And then you walk up to the corpse, you get your throwing knife back.
Oh my god.
So it's unlimited ammo, it's any range, it's totally silent, and can kill them no matter where you hit them. So you can take cover, aim around a corner, hit a guy in like the hip with a throwing knife, and he'll just go down. And then you just have to sneak over to him, get the throwing knife back, and just move on.
That's so funny.
Like they did not balance this whatsoever. And it was so easy to get. I got it in like 10 minutes because even like dudes are rushing at me, shooting at me with machine guns. I'm just hiding behind a pillar, throw a knife in one guy's chest, another guy's chest, another guy's chest. Okay, I'm out of my knives. Go up, collect them, do it again.
I love that.
It's like I was using these things in proper combat, not just for stealth. And they're just, again, one-shotting enemies, and I'm not wasting any ammo.
That's amazing. I love that you can just like hit a guy in like a pinky toe, and he's just dead.
Yeah, and you're going to see footage of me doing this. It's just these knives are so ridiculously overpowered and they're so fun to use because they're so stupid.
That's awesome. Okay, so outside of those achievements, what were the most and least fun for you to obtain?
The most fun for the base game would be called Flambe. It sets enemies on fire with their own Molotovs. So if an enemy's like getting ready to throw a Molotov, you shoot him in, say, the arm, he drops it, he just lights himself on fire. So I can just stand there laughing as some dude's burning to death.
That does sound pretty fun, honestly.
And they freak out because they're all like, I'm gonna kill you. You not gonna say that?
Yeah.
And then you just set them on fire, and it's very cathartic.
Oh yeah, it would be. Yeah, if they're hurling insults at you and then
Oh yeah, and they do.
They drop their bottle.
Yeah. And then for the DLC, I chose Por Sami. So your adoptive father's name was Sammy. And this aspect of, again, the Covered in Blood DLC has you spending a whole bunch of money to restore Sammy's bar, which was burned down in the base game. You can upgrade, you can build it out with a mural on the sidewall of Sammy, his wife, your adoptive brother. You can have music. You can really make the bar what he wished it was. And it's genuinely fulfilling to Lincoln as a character. And this is, to me, what I find so great about Mafia 3. And especially after the DLC, it gives him such depth of character and really helps his family feel like fleshed out, living people. And I think that's what Mafia 3 does best, is it really creates this personal story for Lincoln as a human being and him fulfilling his father's wish of really seeing this bar, this pillar of a black community, like a business where black people can go in their own community and just enjoy being there. They're not harassed. They're not kicked out. They don't have the cops call them like you do in other areas of the city. And it's very much Lincoln creating a safe space for, and I say this in strong quotes to emphasize this, his people. The black community, which has been so discriminated against and harassed by a largely white population of New Bordeaux, has their own safe space. So to see that brought back to life and the genuine joy that is animated onto Lincoln Clay's face was honest to God fulfilling, which I never thought I'd say about a video game, that it felt really good and really made me genuinely attached to the character and the building and just what it meant to the people of that community.
That's cool. So it's like technically quite a missable thing, but it's actually quite meaningful.
Yeah, so it's very long process where you have to spend like hundreds of thousands of dollars because all the upgrades are like 10,000, 20,000, what have you. But you also get to hire people from the local community to work in the bar. You get to see the bar grow. And at the end of it, you toast you toast Sammy, pour Sammy. So, pour one out for Sammy. You get this really fulfilling sense of accomplishment.
I think it means for Sammy, by the way.
Oh, it's spelled Pour.
Yeah, that's French for four, which is because it's set in
goddamn Creole French.
Yeah, because it's in like Louisiana. There's quite a lot of French influence. Yeah, it means for Sammy. But like you said, like they would be saying that with a toast. So like your reading of it is actually very very good as well.
Yeah, it was a very touching moment.
That's cool. I love those kinds of things, like home renovation and improvement sort of things in video games. I quite like those.
And that's fair. And this mechanic does not exist anywhere else in the game. It is purely a DLC thing. But yeah, like you don't even use this as like a home base. You just kind of get to do it for the sake of helping Lincoln grow as a character and regain something that was taken from him.
Yeah.
When he had nothing else.
I apparently did get that one. So obviously I did enjoy doing that kind of stuff.
Oh, wow.
Those were the most fun ones. Right.
So those were the most fun. For the least fun, for the base game, is called Sending a Message, chained together 3 brutal takedowns. Now, a brutal takedown is genuinely what it sounds like in this game. So it's a melee takedown. When you're in combat, you have to hold your melee button, and then Lincoln will, like, he'll pull out a knife and he'll just straight up stab a dude in the face.
Oh, right.
Like 4 times. Like, this is brutal. This is aggressive, and this also feeds into Lincoln Clay as a character because he is I think it's 6'5", 220 pounds of just pure muscle. Like, when you want to talk about a genuinely physically imposing character, Lincoln Clay is the first thing that comes to my mind because he's so big, broad, and just genuinely brooding that when he does something brutal, it will make enemies kind of stumble back and make them easier for another brutal takedown where you like kick a dude in the chest to knock him on the ground, step on him, and then shoot him point blank in the face. But getting 3 of these together without getting either shot down or an enemy running away, or you mistiming it and then you're outside of like the window that you need, is just such a pain because guys are always shooting at you. Then when they're scared that you just stabbed some dude 4 times in the face, they start running away. So you can maybe get another guy who's right beside his buddy who just died. But then getting that third guy is always a pain. You got to really chase him down.
Damn. Yeah, that sounds really annoying.
Yeah. So I got like so many 2 strings or so many strings like I got 2, and the third one was just outside of that timing window to count for the achievement, and it was a pain.
Did you have to like really go out of your way to get that one? Like you couldn't?
No, so
you didn't just get it naturally through playing?
I did get it naturally through playing. However, I had to like go really aggressive with my gameplay. So like I had to be running into groups of dudes just hoping I can get the first one off to then just chain together the other 2.
Right. So like if there was an achievement for it, you wouldn't have played in that style, I guess.
No, I mean, I like the brutal takedowns for the thematic, depth that they add to him. Because like when they say brutal, it is brutal.
Yeah.
And he is not giving these guys any mercy, but I definitely would not have done nearly as many melee kills if I didn't have to get 3 in a row.
Right. Okay.
And for the DLC, funny enough, it's similar to For Sami. It's called Mr. Green Thumb. Fully upgrade your grow house. So it's just tedious. Like you're running this. So you grow weed because you meet a dude who's another Vietnam vet who's growing weed. And his operation gets burned down, so he starts up a new one. So you can experiment with all these different kinds of strains, different flavors that will sell better in different districts depending on people's preferences. But like you have to go back to the grow house every time you want to sell, and it takes however long in-game time to sell. You can change how long it takes by getting certain upgrades, but you can't just like open up a menu and sell it from there. So if I was all the way on the other side of the map, if I wanted to go back and sell that weed to then make more money to upgrade the grow house, I had to go all the way back across the map just to walk in the building, go, yep, sell it to this person, and then just leave again.
That sounds like quite poor design.
So it was just very tedious to go back time and time again to level up my herbalism and then spend a crap ton of money to upgrade my weed just to be making more money.
Okay, yeah, that sounds very annoying. Okay, so what was the rarest achievement in the game?
So for the base game, this will be a mild spoiler. Although if you're here, you probably don't mind spoilers because we talk about everything. It's called Just You and Me. You have to end the game with only one of your underbosses. So in the game, you get 3 underbosses that you can assign districts to, which help them make more money. And through that money, they give you access to more upgrades, whether that's cars, sending a squad of dudes in to help you, or getting more access to more guns. What you can do, however, if you give districts to only 1 or 2 of your people and none to the third, they will eventually say, you know what, screw this, I'm out. And then they'll leave you and they'll send people to kill you. So you unlock a mission to go and kill them. So for this achievement, you have to give all of your districts to only 1 person. You can be anybody out of the 3 that you pick. Have the other 2 betray you, which only happens over time. Like there's 9 districts in the game in total. The first 3 are just 1 to each underboss as like the story thing. That's their home turf. The next 6 have to be given to 1 person, and you'll get the second betrayal around like the second to last district being given to the person you want to keep alive. Then you have to go and make sure you've killed both of the other underbosses, and then get to the end of the game with only 1 person.
Okay, so why do you think that? Like, why do you think so few people have done that one?
So it locks you out of a few, not upgrade trees, but a few upgrade options.
Right.
It's like you lock away either car upgrades / like explosive upgrades or weapon upgrades, or the ability to, again, call in stronger and stronger people to help you out in a firefight.
Right.
So you're physically locking away parts of the game to help you out. And you're having to kill people which you may have made, or rather, come to form a bond with, come to understand the motives of, and actually like as a person. Some of them are terrible people. That doesn't mean you don't like them.
Right, yeah.
And it requires its own playthrough, as there are achievements tied to keeping everyone alive at the end and having them be truly loyal to you.
Okay. And
so it's kind of like the good ending versus the bad end.
Yeah. And I know in mine, I kept everybody alive. And I assume most people's casual playthrough will be to do that. And a lot of people probably aren't going back for a second one. So that probably explains why it's so rare. Like you have to go out of your way to do it.
Yeah, you really do. That has to be your plan from the beginning. Because if you do any of the side missions for your underboss, they are more loyal to you and less likely to betray you. So you could give them 1 district, do the side missions for them, and they may not betray you the entire game.
Oh man, okay.
And even if you say don't give them anything, sometimes they still won't betray you. So the way you take over a district is you take over both of the rackets in that district, which you can assign again to any of the 3 underbosses, and then you take out the district boss, at which point you give it to one of your guys. You have to actually give a racket to each of the people that you don't want to keep it, and then you take it away by giving the district to the third person, which takes away their rackets from like person A and B, to make them physically upset, and then they'll start to betray you. Like, you have to go out of your way entirely to piss these people off to have them try and kill you.
Okay, yeah, that sounds like a lot harder to get.
It absolutely is, and I completely see why people have not gone for it.
Interesting.
For the DLC, this one really confuses me. So the achievement's called Pop Pop. Kill 4 enemies using slow-mo 10 times. Slow-mo, like bullet time, if you've played Max Payne, is an ability that you get when you play the Covered in Blood DLC, and is really not hard to kill 4 enemies during like one period of slow-mo. So I don't know why people just haven't done it. I don't know if it's just because they haven't played the DLC all that much, or they just never used slow-mo.
I mean, I also don't have that one, and I think it's just because, like...
You're adding to the problem.
I mean, it's like, when you do the DLC, you've already put a lot of time into the game, and you've kind of, like... I mean, for me, like, I was in my routine of how I did combat and stuff, so I probably just didn't want to try something new.
Oh, man, it's not necessarily all that new, though, and it just kind of makes things easier.
Huh. I mean, yeah, I didn't get it, so lots of people didn't.
Like, if you were using, say, an automatic weapon, and you just slow-mo, you just kind of pop a few headshots, and then you've done your 4 enemies in that round of slow-mo.
Yeah. I mean, I was just going to say, like, if you're not looking up the achievements, you probably wouldn't think to do it, maybe.
And that is, I mean, I would agree, knowing you personally, that it does happen to a fair amount of people. Whereas as you, the listener, will soon become aware, try to adapt to whatever the game wants me to do.
Right.
So it was a little easier for me to step into the shoes of, hey, use slow-mo.
Right. Okay. What was the most memorable achievement for you, and what made it have such an impression on you?
Well, the DLC one is definitely for Sami. I've already talked about why that was so significant for me, so I'm not going to rehash that. The base game, however, it was actually a story-based achievement called We Partners Now. It's where you get Vito Scaletta, the main character from Mafia 2, my only Mafia game that I had played before 3, as an underboss. And to me, I know it's kind of bad that the most memorable one is because of the previous title, but it was just so, again, enriching to have the character that I played all of Mafia 2 as come and work for me in Mafia 3 and know that he was my partner now. I was like, this is great. I love this. I want more of Vito. Vito is just the best. And for those wondering, Vito is the one I took to the end, and I killed the other 2 underbosses, because Vito is just, he has the best upgrades, the best personality, is the only one who's actually appreciative of what you're doing.
I bet if you look at like stats, I bet most people who got that achievement went with Vito as well.
I think Vito and Burke were actually the 2 most popular.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Cassandra does not get a lot of love.
Isn't she is she the weapons one or something?
Yeah, she's the weapons upgrade one.
Interesting. But yeah, Vito's cool, so obviously keep Vito.
Vito is great, and he helps you. He sends dudes into combat for you. Just call in a squad of your homies, and they come roll up and just blow dudes away.
Hell yeah. And he's from Mafia 2.
He is from Mafia 2, and it was hopefully in whatever Mafia game comes next.
Oh god, I want more Mafia, honestly.
Right?
Is there an achievement you would remove from the game?
Thankfully, there is not. There's nothing that I felt was super ridiculous or hard to get that needed to be taken out.
Oh, cool.
There were a couple that were annoying or tedious, but not to the point where I was like, this shouldn't exist.
Interesting. Cool, I like that. Is there an action or way of playing that you think there should be an official achievement for?
So this is kind of bad. There is. So
Uh-oh.
I think they should alter one of the story missions in which you take out a corrupt judge who's presiding over a police brutality case. Like I said, very heavy stuff in the story. But you follow his car, and then it's an armored vehicle. So you have to either take him out in the vehicle or take him out at one of the stops. I would love it for there to be a section in this mission, or just even a side mission, where someone's coming in through like a convertible car, and they put the hood down, where you can snipe them when the hood of their car, the roof of their car is down, and call the achievement JFK.
Oh my god.
Just because this game takes place in 1968, only a few years after the actual JFK assassination, I think it would be very topical. It would fit really well. It is absolutely terrible, but I think it'd be really interesting to see that in there.
That's cool. No, that's fair, and that's a very creative way of thinking of a new achievement. Are you able to soft lock yourself out of any achievements?
Technically, yes, you are, in the sense that there are 4 achievements in the game that require 2 playthroughs. Two of them are keeping all informants alive and keeping all racket bosses alive. And then 2 of them are killing all informants and killing all racket bosses. Now, informants, you can just, once you've interrogated them, you can spare or kill them. That's totally fine. You choose what you want to do. Have 1 playthrough for each. You can't get them both in the same one. The racket bosses, however, you have to do junction boxes, which basically just means you collect 3 little electronic parts from around the city. They're everywhere. You can find them pretty easily. It will show you more collectibles around the map, and it will let you interrogate a racket boss and bring them over to your side, because you'll understand how you can blackmail them or how you can extort them to work for you. If you don't get the junction box closest to a racket boss's base, you will automatically kill them.
Oh.
So you don't get the choice to spare them. It's just you interrogate them and then you immediately kill them without any prompt from the player. So if you don't get the right junction box, you've locked yourself out of the option of sparing them. So if you say did 90% of the racket bosses already and you've spared all of them, but you forget the junction box for the next one, you've automatically locked yourself out of that achievement.
Oh, okay.
So this is what I was meaning when I said earlier I did more than I had to. I thought you had to get every junction box, kind of like a Ubisoft tower in a game, in the city.
Right.
You only, like I said, need the one nearest or the one that shows their base.
Right.
Once you have that, you have the material you need to interrogate, and then so you don't need to do every single collectible in the game or every single tower in the game to be able to do that. So I definitely spent way more time collecting the electronics parts and then going around to every junction box than I needed to. So you can definitely save yourself a few hours by not doing that and only getting specific ones.
Okay. So that's why you did like 5 to 10 hours more. Okay.
Yeah, because it's just a lot of driving and, going to little places, picking up the thing, and then going to the junction boxes. It's just a lot of unnecessary work. And please don't make the same mistake I did, but also make sure you're as cautious as you feel you need to be to ensure you can interrogate and then spare the racket bosses, or else you've wasted X percentage of a playthrough, because you can't get either the spare all of them or kill all of them achievement because you've done half and half.
Right. Oof, that's stressful.
So yeah, it's very much like with Call of Duty, go into a playthrough knowing what you need to do.
Right. How many times do you have to play the game to get all achievements?
You only need to do 2. I did 3 like a fool because my first one was just casual, not really thinking about it. But like I just said, you need to do one where, and this is typically a device you'll find online, do one where you spare all your informants, spare all your racket bosses, and keep all of your underbosses alive. And that's the 3 you're going for story-wise or mechanics-wise in that playthrough. And then do one where you kill all informants, kill all racket bosses, and keep only one underboss alive at the end as kind of your second playthrough. Or, the racket bosses and informants can be done in either playthrough, just kind of pick one and go with it. But you really want to have, in my opinion, you want to have your long playthrough where you explore the whole city, you get all the collectibles, because they're rather interesting. There's Playboy magazines, there's Vargas paintings, which do show nudity, so I cannot show them in the YouTube video.
Boo.
But that also requires you or encourages you to get all of the towers, all the junction boxes in the city, which I think should be done with your spare everyone, because you have to get them anyway to spare people. And just, enjoy the first playthrough and take your time with it, really get to know the game, do a lot of your gameplay-based achievements, and then just take your time with that one, have that one be the long play, quote-unquote, and then go back for a second one, either immediately after or your call, and have that be your short play, as I would call it. Kill everyone, kill your informants, your racket bosses. You don't need to worry about getting the towers, junction boxes, and then just go with one underboss, because you'll also get the achievement for earning $10,000 through one underboss, at a single time, which you can't get unless you only have at least 2. You can't get it with all 3 people alive.
Okay.
So just know what you want to do with each playthrough.
Yeah, that's smart. Did you use any guides for this?
I just use kind of general guides to say, hey, like I said, it was telling me what my main goals for each playthrough should be. I did have to look one up, and I'll link it down below, as to the best way to get certain, kill X number of enemies with this weapon type achievement.
Right.
So there's one called Big Fat Party Animal. You have to wear what is basically a tourist Hawaiian shirt and then go around with a big M60 machine gun and kill 30 people. The best way to do this is actually to go up in front of a police station where there's just a lot of cops, which are automatically marked as enemies, hanging around, and you just start mowing them down.
You just open up.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's certain reasons for this, just because the weapon is primarily is a DLC weapon, and it's a DLC achievement, but you can get it early on in the game, about a third of the way through, or you have to get Vito, coming back with Vito, you have to get his urn up enough to unlock it as a purchasable weapon.
Okay, but for the most part, you didn't need a guide.
Yeah, for the most part, it's look up what the achievements are, just so you know kind of what you need to do gameplay-wise, but there's nothing you should have to go out of your way for, provided you're just thinking, hey, how can I do this in my day-to-day?
Right. Okay. Has going for all achievements changed the way you look at the game now, and do you regret doing it?
The only thing I regret is not doing it sooner, as in not with my first playthrough.
Oh.
It absolutely has... How do I put this? It has expanded the depth of Lincoln Clay's character and the character of the world that they built immeasurably in my mind, because the DLCs are so focused on just, again, expanding the world of Lincoln Clay's life, expanding the characters around him and expanding his story, just solely expanding his story. It really, again, I've said this a few times already, reinforces, in my mind, he's one of the best written Mafia characters to exist, because he has such a storied past that we get to experience. We get to see how it affects him, and we get to see him grow as a person in some regard, especially because of this DLC. I do not regret doing it whatsoever. I loved most of it.
Maybe not the extra 10 hours or whatever.
Yeah. When I realized I did that, I was like, why did I do that?
That's awesome, though.
But yeah, just seeing him grow as a character was fantastic.
So it did add more to the game, you'd say?
Oh, it absolutely added a ton of value. Now, I get that's me saying, hey, the DLCs did this, but even just doing all the achievements was still really fun. It cemented in my mind Lincoln Clay as a character, and just it gave me a reason. The DLCs at least gave me a reason to go back and try this, and I think I am the better person for it.
Cool. I love that. Okay, would you recommend other people go for the all achievements? And what kind of players would enjoy the journey versus what kinds would hate it?
I think if you don't like just kind of repeating the same thing, as in going through a second playthrough but then only changing kind of one or two things, you're not going to enjoy this.
Right.
But if you say, and the way I would recommend doing this, because I absolutely would recommend people go for this, do your long play, whatever that means to you, whether it's exploring the city or killing everyone, do your long play, put it down for 3-4 months, let life take its course, let things happen, play some other games, come back to it, and then do your short play to wrap up whatever you missed, because you can miss, or you can do everything except for 4 achievements. And those are all base game achievements in one playthrough. You can get 81 achievements in one playthrough.
Wow.
So I would say go do your long play, get those 81. And then if you want to go back immediately after, like I did, and spend another probably about 15 hours, because you do have to pretty much hit the end of the game, but you can kind of speed through and not do some of the side activities, not do some of the exploration that I'd mentioned. If you want to do those 15 hours right after, go for it. But I would say let it sink, let it sit with you, let it rest, and then just bring it back after 3-4 months, knock out that last playthrough in a weekend, in a couple weeks, and just, enjoy it.
Yeah, it feels like if you went back-to-back playthroughs, I think you'd be pretty annoyed at all the dialogue and cutscenes and stuff in the second playthrough. You
can skip a lot of the cutscenes. I did go back to back. Oh, one thing I want to point out, and this feature needs to be in more games. You can pause cutscenes without skipping them.
Oh, hell yeah.
You can pause them and then just resume them, or you can skip them from the pause menu.
A mandatory feature.
Please, developers, give us this option to just pause a cutscene. If we have to use the washroom, if our significant other or someone else is calling for us in the middle of a cutscene, we either have to skip it and then watch it on YouTube, or we have to tell them just a minute and then they get pissed with us.
Yeah.
Just let us pause. Let us go do something else.
Yeah.
And then come back to it. We want to experience your cutscenes, but you make it so hard sometimes.
Totally agreed.
But yeah, that's episode 2, East Meets West. I think we've kind of fulfilled the title pretty well. Thank you everyone so much for being here and enjoying this with us. John, thank you as well for joining me today.
Thank you for having me again.
You're a lovely guest, and I hope to have you many more times. If you were listening to this on Spotify or any of the major podcast platforms, we are also on YouTube at T's Table, T''table. Same goes for Twitter. Please feel free to tweet at me. If you are watching on YouTube, we are, as I mentioned, on Spotify or other major podcast platforms if you want us on the go. I would love to hear from you all, your thoughts, opinions, anything you would like to change about the show, anything you'd like to see added to the show. I can't guarantee they're all going to happen, but I want to make this show better for you and still enjoyable for us. So as long as those don't conflict, I'd love to hear your opinions. I'd love to add more to the show, make it bigger. Thank you again so much for watching and or listening. We'll see you next time on the 24th.
Bye.